Get to the Blackhawk! Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian McCollum, and today we're out at the range with an FN M249S. This is the semi-auto civilian commercial version of the 249 SAW, the FN Mini-Me. This is produced entirely by FN in Columbia, South Carolina, so it's all US made, so it doesn't have to comply with any import laws. And it's essentially a straight off the factory production line 249 SAW, just converted to semi-auto. So I figured we'd do some shooting. I kind of suspect this is one of those guns that on paper looks rather silly. Like, it's a 13-point-something pound semi-auto only belt-fed gun that costs $10,000 or $11,000. Why would I need that? But then you pick it up and you're like, oh, I must have this, which is kind of my reaction when I picked this thing up. But I haven't shot it yet, so let's give that a try. All right, we will start with the proper belt-fed ammo. We want to have the brass facing down and the link surface facing up. So we've got our belt holder bracket there. We're just going to slip this in right there. Then pull out a bit of spare belt. I'm going to drop the belt on the feedway like that. Close the top cover, charge it, and we'll be ready to go. First link out, which means we're ready to go. That is indeed pretty cool. This thing has little to no perceptible recoil because it is a little over 13 pounds, firing basic 5.56. All right, other than ejecting directly into my arm, because I'm left-handed, that's pretty cool. All right, let's see if this thing will run on 30-round mags. Traditionally, it doesn't have a great reputation with them. It's really supposed to be sort of an emergency thing only, and you will often get damage to the magazine feed lips from the bolt on the 249. Now, on this guy, because it's a closed bolt semi-auto, I have to hold the bolt open while I insert the mag. That chambers the first round. And loaded and ready to go. Let's see if it'll run. Well, it definitely runs. And I'm out of ammo. Let me see if we have to open the bolt to pull the mag out as well. There we go. I actually don't see any issues on there at all. Pretty cool. All right. Good job, FN. Next question is, will it run on a D60 drum? It should. Like, in theory, there's no reason that it wouldn't. It looks a little bit goofy. I don't know, is that goofy or cool?
It's like the MG34 with side saddle at home.
It kind of is. Okay, that definitely, you know, people ask about side-mounted SMG magazines, like, doesn't that off-balance the gun? Well, this one, 60 rounds hanging out the side, does.
Does it have the shoulder thing that goes goes up.
So this does in fact have a shoulder thing, ow, that goes up, which perhaps I should have been using, but this really is more of a full auto control deal. Not particularly necessary on the semi-auto, although this is a good opportunity for me to point out that other than the semi-auto conversion, the 249S, like I said in our previous video on it, is straight off the FN production line, and so all of the parts are interchangeable, the exception of fire control stuff, with standard military 249s, which means if you want the para stock, if you want some other stock that has been introduced in the past or is introduced in the future, they will drop right onto the receiver. Same thing with top covers, front handguards, different length barrels, all that stuff drops right on. All right, one thing I will say here, the trigger on this is reasonably crisp, but also fairly heavy. I was kind of wondering if it would be possible to bump fire this, and my conclusion is not really. Maybe someone who's really, really good at it could pull it off, but the trigger feels a bit heavy to do that. So you do get decent semi-auto fire control, but the trigger is not the greatest point of this, which is fairly common among semi-auto conversions of machine guns. All right, so overall thoughts on the 249S. First off, it's really cool to have access to a really good copy of a current service and historically serving. This has been in the US military for 40 years now. It's really cool to have access to a factory clone of that. There are more than a few semi-auto machine guns available, but they are generally guns that are made by very small shops, usually one guy who's figured out a good way to build a semi-auto version from parts kits. And so you'll get guns like Madsons and MG34s and MG42s and Degtярevs and other guns that have come into the US as parts kits. They get put together by a small shop, and the only way you can get them is like send a substantial deposit off to nowhere. You kind of have to trust this one dude's reputation on forums, then wait a while to actually get your gun. And because they're made with parts kits, you never necessarily know if they're going to work perfectly because they're not brand new guns. This is really the other end of the spectrum. This is the full-on legitimate FN factory redesigning the gun's internals for semi-auto, making it reliable, making it ATF approved. You kind of also don't always really know with the small scale stuff if someone actually got it approved by ATF, or if they didn't, they're just figuring they're not making enough for anyone to pay attention. So this is nice in that it's a gun you can just buy from a gun shop, don't have to worry about it. Yeah, it's really expensive, but if you're willing to pay the money, you can get a semi-auto, really awesome copy of a 249 SAW. All right, well, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. This thing is kind of up there with the Ohio Ordnance H-Car as a gun that looks kind of silly on paper, like $10,000, how many dollars for semi-auto? But it really is just super cool to handle and to shoot. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I know I enjoyed the chance to come out here and do some shooting with this guy. Thanks for watching.